down the range to show there's pride in wearing the blue and gold. It finished in a 217 to 14 points victory for Wexford.
We're delighted with the win. It was a great win. The conditions were terrible. There was nothing in it. At half time it was level, but we really came out in the second half, and I think we showed great spirit, and it was a great team display from number one to the girls who came on, and it just takes pressure off us now in our last two matches.
Well, unfortunately the loss today puts us out of the championship. By us losing today ultimately to put Cork through, so a disappointing day for us, but you know, we gave it everything, and you know, like, I mean, we certainly can't say we didn't try or put in the effort.
The fourth meeting between these sides in All-Ireland hurling qualifiers, with Offaly ahead by 2-1 and overwhelming favourites to advance. But it was Limerick who struck first with the first point of the game from James V. O'Brien. Limerick battled on bravely with their inexperienced side, leading by 3 points to 2, 12 minutes in, before Offaly scored what turned out to be the only goal of the contest from their point of view, as Joe Bergen picked out Derek Malloy, who beat Tyke Flynn with a low shot. But Limerick refused to buckle, and midfielder Thomas O'Brien kept them in contention with 4 first-half points, including this 65. But it was Offaly who went into the break with a 4-point lead. Derek Malloy, the leading scorer in the first 35, with a goal and 2, as Offaly led 1-8 to 7 points at the break. Offaly also did just enough to keep the nose in front in the early part of the second half. This Shane Dooley point put 5 between the sides. But Limerick kept plugging away, as Tomás O'Brien took his personal tally to 7 points, and substitute Cahill Milan helped to cut the margin to 3 as the rain finally abated at O'Connor Park. Offaly again put some daylight between themselves and Limerick, as they scored 4 unanswered points, 2 from Brian Carroll, 1 from Joe Brady, and this effort from midfielder Brendan Murphy put 7 between the sides. But Limerick showed some real fighting spirit, and Nicky Quaid pointed before his side scored a goal. Cahill Milan picked out Michael Noonan, who in turn found the unmarked Tomás O'Brien, who took his personal tally to a goal and 7. Suddenly Limerick were back in the contest, and the margin was down to 2 with 7 minutes remaining when substitute Peter Russell pointed, and the game was in the melting pot. But any thoughts Limerick had of a famous victory were dispelled, as Offaly kept their composure and eased their way to a 6-point victory, the final point in a terrific contest from Cahill Parlin to take his personal tally to 5. A 119 to 113 win for Offaly, and they now go through to meet Tipperary in the next round of the qualifiers.
Well, Limerick are a proud hurling county. They weren't going to come up here and lay down in front of us, and you know, we probably struggle a little bit to beat teams when we're favourites, and we're probably better going in as underdogs. But delighted to get the win. We won by 6 points in the end, and maybe could have won by a little bit more, but you know, just delighted to get through.
It was a day of mixed emotions for Dublin manager Anthony Daly. The last time these two sides met in the championship, he was in charge of his native Banner County as they ran to a 14-point win in 2006. However, Dublin's progression under Daly over the last number of years suggested that there would be no annihilation in Croke Park as the Dubs drew first blood through Alan McCrabb's free. Clare hit back with points from John Conlon and Fergal Lynch, but it was Dublin who began to exert their dominance as the half wore on. Peter Kelly's mammoth point from midfield began the onslaught as Dublin raced into an early 4-point lead. Dotsy O'Callaghan was giving Cian Dillon a hard time in the corner as he scored 6 first-half points from play. And with Clare being forced to live off scraps from broken balls, they could have felt they were lucky to go in at the break, trailing by just 14 points to 7. Ger O'Loughlin had some stern words for his team at half-time, and it clearly made a difference as Clare began the second half with 6 unanswered points. And had Gary Maguire not saved this effort from Dara Conan, Clare could have found themselves in the lead. At the other end, Clare goalkeeper Donal Toohey was lucky to get away with the mistake of coming for a high ball once, but he wouldn't be as lucky the second time, as within a minute the ball was back in similar fashion, this time over his head and in the back of the net. So instead of making the ultimate turnaround, Clare found themselves 4 points down, and with Alan McCrabb showing his diverse range of skills, Dublin were quickly back on top. Further points from Maurice O'Brien and substitute Simon Lambert opened up an 8-point lead for Dublin, And while Jonathan Clancy tried to keep Clare in touch, it was at the other end we would see the last piece of drama. Dotsie O'Callaghan again involved, rounding the defender, and a nice flick for Lambert to finish. Alan McCrabb rounded off a superb personal day with his 8th point from this ground strike to put the game out of sight and give Dublin their first win in the qualifiers in 13 long attempts. The final score at Croke Park, Dublin 222, Clare 15 points.
We mix the good, sometimes very good, like with this crazy stuff again sometimes, but we're learning. We keep chipping away and keep trying to learn a bit of cuteness. I mean, to let Clare back into it the way we did after half time was, and a more experienced team just wouldn't have done that. Like, they'd have killed off the game, like, you know, but it's a learning curve.
I know there's an awful lot of work to be done there, you know, and people will have to sit back over the next 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks and see where we're going, and, you know, who's the right people to go forward with them and that. And, you know, that's the thing about it. We have to reflect back and see, you know, was there something else we should have done, or could we have done more, or whatever, you know. And we just have to, we'll have to sit back now and just see what the future holds.
And that's the draw for next weekend's qualifiers: Tipperary versus Offaly and Dublin versus Antrim. Pete, will Offaly have benefited much from their game against Limerick ahead of this?
They will have benefited in the sense that it's a victory. They played Galway and they drew the first day, and Galway beat them narrowly the second day. So it's good to leave a dressing room with a victory. And as Joe said there in the interview, that they probably played their best hurling when they're underdogs. And against Limerick yesterday, whereas they never struggled to win the game, there was times when Limerick really put it up to them. Against
They'll certainly be underdogs now against Tip.
There will be. There'll be severe underdogs against Tip, and it's going to be a tough test for them. But we know Offaly, they've great fighting spirit, and Joe Dooley has worked over the last 2 or 3 years with this team, and he's bringing them along nicely, and he's bringing youth with a bit of experience. The ones that I'd worry most about in the championship is the team that's gone in Limerick. It's horrible what's happening down there, John. It's awful disappointing. They haven't won a championship game, they haven't won a league game. When is common sense going to prevail down there? You know, they have to be able to sit down together and thrash this out and stay at it until they come to some resolution. And whether that means that Justin has to go, he has to go. If the players have to bite their lips and come back and train on them, they have to do that. But they have to get it back because Limerick are struggling. There'll be civil war in hurling terms down there if they don't get it sorted soon.
Well, at this late hour of the morning, we're not going to go any deeper into it. What about Dublin? There's some optimism in Dublin after that result. What do you think, Donal?
Well, it was, you know, if you went to Croke Park yesterday and saw the first half and had to go away, and you'd have thought they were, you know, a fantastic team, you know, well drilled, patient, looking for players who were free and whatever. It was outstanding display. If you had come in for the first 10 minutes, quarter of an hour after half time, they were at 6s and 7s. But for that unlucky goal, well, it was, you know, it was unfortunate for Donal to win. He, you know, first visit to go back, and he was doing quite well, just caught himself a bad mistake. That goal changed the game. So it would be nice if Clare couldn't have conceded the goal and gone on. We'd have seen what Dublin would have been right when they were under pressure, but they deserve to win, and they'll be delighted with that now. They have Antrim, and they should beat them really in the next game. But they'll be glad they got over. But I don't know, have they anything learned really from playing Clare?
So a few question marks still there.
I think there is, and Clare, in fairness, a lot of their under 21 team, and they'd have been a bit overawed coming up to Croke Park to play. But in fairness to them, 20 minutes after half time, they gave an excellent display.
All right then. Well, that's about it. Thanks to Donal and Pete for their company. Thank you very much for staying with us until this late hour. I'll be back with further reflections and reaction on a very dramatic day. That's at 6:30 on RT Radio 1 tomorrow evening. And of course, we'll be back here next Sunday with a live audience in studio. Until then, from all of the team here, have a good week. Bye-bye.